All right. So yeah, this is office hours. If you have any questions or anything to add, let us know. Otherwise, for today, I'll just cover the agenda real quick and then we can jump into it. All right. So first off, we've got Alex who has a request for some big help. Then we've got Mika, I believe, who's needing help with updating repeating lists with Xano. And Zspaceman has a question on the PDF library. And then if anyone else has anything, or Casey, if you've got anything, any special request, feel free to chat them or just ask us towards the end of the call. It's kind of how it works. A lot of people love to just come lurk and listen and just learn that way. So that works too. Okay, so Alex, if you are ready, we are ready, and we can start with you first.
You bet. Thanks so much. Let me just pull everything up here. Hopefully, can you see everything here? Let's close some stuff. So this is basically following on some help that Josh was giving me.
Not good enough because you're still having the problem.
Oh, you here? Well, I don't think
we're gonna say help
you, so don't feel bad. I really appreciate the help. Really just kind of looking to bang out this final, get it over the line and get it working. So let me kind of backtrack. Josh, obviously, you know how I've set this up because you told me how to do it, but I'll run through it right here real quick. So this is the chat GPT action I was working on before. I've got it working and firing on this click, and I can show it's actually getting the response back, and it brings back a big long list of JSON. My problem is knowing what to do and how to handle and deal with that JSON response. So I'll show you how I have it all set up, and then what I don't know after that, if that's cool. Here's the action, how I have it set. And then on success is running this flow here. This, now Josh was asking why I have this page binding here. I actually don't know. I think I've got this set. This is actually like version 2 of me doing this. On version 1, it's updating the responses into whether it's the user generated response or the response from the assistant. So it's doing like by the user type. This is just like element stuff. It's saving the response into local storage item as a variable. I don't know why I did the console log because I don't really know how to use them. But then this is the action that I'm trying to set that JSON into a repeating list with.
Do you know if that path is correct in your JSON? Because I think that is a slightly different way to write that path that your mouse is on.
Okay, that's probably issue number 1 I'm having.
Yeah.
So,
have you even tested that yet, Alex? And that was literally what we were just in Discord talking about.
Yeah.
It's like that's how you're looking for like the 1 as in like that's the index number of the array of the list of objects.
Yeah, you need it.
That's how you write in JavaScript, just not in those builder paths.
Right.
Or actually, while you have it there would work, I think maybe in builder. I don't know. You don't need those square brackets, but you didn't have that dot in the studio.
Okay.
Yeah, and it is case sensitive. So it actually needs to
yeah. I didn't even catch that.
It's JSON all caps.
Okay.
So I think that's why it doesn't work, because the first one just fails. So if you just type JSON, it should show up in the list, and then just select it there. And then
No, I think it was .1, right? Which you can just do. You don't have to do dot in that case since you're starting a new path. You just do one dot. It'll add the dot for you because you're starting a new path.
Yeah, and then I don't remember what the rest was.
Yeah, I don't remember the rest either.
So basically.
But what's
from
the
there-
one for?
Do you want to, so this is, I don't know if this would help at all, like constructing the path. This is the response that I should be getting.
Well,
The response is already an object, it looks like, right?
yeah, Dorian, it has, this is like the nested response that's actually at the path. The one is because there's two contents. There's like the content that you sent and the content that you got back in the array.
Oh, I see what
And
you're saying.
but they would have to have different properties. Can you show me the response you're getting back? Because that wouldn't even be valid JSON if they had the same name.
If you go to, you might want to go to jsonlint.com to paste it in because it'll
Okay.
format it for you. I don't know, like it's hard to read JSON when it's not formatted, and then as soon as you format it, you're like, oh, there's the error. So it's
Yeah.
kind of a pro tip.
Yeah, that
Lint,
first one.
like
Yeah,
proper
yeah.
lint?
And then you paste it into that box, and then on the bottom left, there's a yep.
Oh, but
that's
it's a string.
It didn't do it for that one. Normally, it would make it perfect for you.
It looks like it's just one content though. Yeah, because like if you scroll up, it starts with content and then it opens an object.
Yeah, and it says valid JSON, so it's like
Yeah. So you don't need that. It should just be JSON parse dot content. And then once you're in the content, it looks like you're trying to target a specific thing or no. You're just trying to get the content.
it's trying to get the response. So it's basically you're saying content where role equals assistant, or you're saying content index number 1. Like this, because it's like you send it, that's index 0, or its response is index 1.
And one question, Drew, the OpenAI action, doesn't it just return the content already?
Not is this the chat action? If it's the chat action, it's going to return an array. Actually, I don't remember. I don't know what the new real chat action returns specifically, actually, because I never used it. But what OpenAI returns in the chat ones is an array.
Can we test it? Can we test it like this? Just to get the full raw response and see what it looks like?
Yeah, it's smart. We just see what we're working with.
Just as it is there?
Just like that, yeah.
Yeah. Sure.
So I'm pretty sure it's already returning the content and we don't need to target the content.
Yeah.
Love this idea, by the way. I'm not a good gift giver, honestly. It's one of something I need to work on.
And where does that get outputted to? All right, see, it's waiting. So
Yeah, it's just waiting. Yeah. So while we wait for that, what I'd like to do is like compile a list of these like 5 recommendations, and then I've got a repeating list of like recommendation 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then I'll have like the number, the keyword, the description, and then reason, which are all like it's outputting those in the prompt. So
How do you get 5? Is it returning 5 for you, or you mean you run it
asking
5 times?
explicitly for 5. Yeah.
Nice. Okay, cool.
Okay. So there's
yeah, and let's go look at that. I guess that local storage item so we can see the response that it.
this guy here.
Or I guess not, because in there you're putting something different. Can we change the setup and just throw it into a variable on the page?
Yeah.
And you can leave the element, just add another set variable action.
What did I say? Call it request.
Yeah. And then put it on the root. That way we can easily get to it. And just give it whatever name you want.
And should I nest
And then
that?
the value needs
Oh,
to
yeah.
come from the variable from the response from the API. That would be current because it's on the current page, right?
From the local storage?
No, get it directly from the API call. I don't know what variable that's being set in.
Chat response.
Yeah, no.
Okay.
Yeah.
And sorry, when should I run?
And then
sorry.
nest that in the success.
Okay.
Cool. And then let's refresh and try it again.
I need like Jeopardy music.
Right. Cool. So then go to the console at the top. And then type BRW, all in lowercase. No, not in the filter, but in the where the cursor is in the bottom there.
Down below, just like, yeah.
Yeah, right there. That one, just tab. Oh,
F.
yeah, do tab and then dot and then tab and then dot. And then what was the name of it? The variable name?
Request. That guy there.
Yep.
I think so. I don't remember.
And then press enter. It says it's blank right now, but
Yeah, it is already blank. Let's confirm the variable name just to make sure. Yeah, it is request. So yeah, it's not working. So it's either not setting a response at all or
so wait, you got the variable name coming out of the chat action correct?
Yep.
That's weird. From variable.
So this should be this variable here. Sorry, this is the.
Oh, that's not it. That's the conversation ID.
Mhm.
Where's the output for this? Like, how is this? I've actually haven't used these actions. Maybe
I
Drew.
know I haven't either. That's a problem. I don't actually understand how this action works. Trying to
Like,
figure
where's
it out.
the output? What's it called? Just open AI chat. Let me just try to look at one.
It might not output. I think it might just save to the database or save to local storage. And you input a variable from local storage or whatever. But I don't think it outputs a variable. Is that correct? Maybe, Josh?
Correct. It puts it directly in local storage. That flow that he's running should be, it had a flow to set the variable from the local storage. And this local storage.
That's what we're missing though, right? Like we
Yeah,
need to
that's
set
the
the variable
part.
from local storage. Yeah.
Isn't
yeah.
that what he's hovering right now?
Well, what
This is the on after chat
Oh, I
success.
see.
so then
There's
it's right.
actually a setting for it. Go back
oh,
to
I see
the
what you're doing.
go back to the action. Open that, and there is a storage method. So right now you're putting it in local storage. Click that and do custom. Can you do a variable in custom, or what's custom? No, not from variable, but
Oh, sorry.
Messages.
I wonder if he was just pulling and naming it from the value of a variable just now. instead of the naming it the name of the variable.
Hmm,
I think what's happening is you're saving local storage as a name, and then when you set the variable, you were using the wrong name. The variable was looking for like local storage value or something. It said it was like a default name.
I also think there's a chance that one of the reasons it's not I think this is set up so the whole conversation actually keeps getting added to that local storage. So multiple replies are going to look like the same thing. Are going to just get added to the array, and unpacking it is a little bit of a different process that I haven't done myself yet.
yeah, so one thing on here, so we have it as custom, and I noticed it added that response variable name into chat response. I'm not sure what the messages is for. But maybe that's just optional. Maybe we can run it like this. Chat response is the variable name we're pulling from on the other action, right?
Yeah.
I think that this to like, in case I don't want to go too far in case it's wrong. I think we should use local storage like he was using, because like you need to save the whole conversation anyway. And so instead of switching it to the variable, where in the other flow on success, where it gets the variable value, I think it's getting it from the wrong local storage name. That's all. So if we switch it back to local storage, it'll save correctly, and then we fix that action. I think it might fix everything.
Yeah,
Just
so like that conversation ID, like that defaults to, like when I use it, it just defaults to text. So I'm not sure what's expected there.
It's
It's
probably just a
definitely
name.
not a variable.
Yeah, I think
it
you
won't
want
be a-
text input, and I think you just want to write chat response maybe, and that'll be like the name of the
local storage.
in local storage. Yeah, I don't know though. That's a problem.
Should I get the name of that local storage?
Yeah, or pick a name for it, and we'll make them
Okay.
all the same.
Um, Sorry, where?
Yeah, it says retrievable
there?
by conversation ID. So yeah, conversation ID. You're just setting it to anything that it's gonna know to use.
I think the trick here is like, are you actually creating a conversation, or are you just doing a more like text complete where it's just a singular response? Is there a back and forth?
No, it's basically one response.
I don't know if it matters, because this is a thing. Like if you want just one back and forth and you use the action, it might work more than you expect. When you use this chat action, it's expecting the chat and it's returning everything in this like chat JSON format. So I bet it's easier just to like go with the flow. Even if you only want to show one response, you're still saving it to local storage and then displaying it from local storage. I think that should still work. There's nothing wrong with that.
But if you're rerunning it, like I think the moment that you run it twice,
There's no twice though in this case. You're still running it once.
but he like in his testing, he's running it twice. And so he's
Wait, why? Did I miss that?
well, I think
Is that
he's like
correct?
run it multiple times on this page. Like he's clicked it twice, and now that conversation, it's referring to the same conversation ID. And so the path is not able to unpack the JSON for all of the response history in the same
But do
way.
you need the previous response, the previous chat histories? Or are you like,
Not especially, no. I mean,
because that's what he's saying is basically if you do this again and you're doing local storage, you're just overwriting. You're not like saving separate conversations with all these chats. Every time someone chats, you'd be overwriting it for their local storage.
yeah,
But that might be okay as long as you understand that that's happening.
yeah, totally.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's kind of like, this is like version, basically I'm having like an open, not logged in version, and then a logged in version. And for the not logged in version, originally I thought I would just store like a list of everyone's requests, but honestly, I just need something easy that works.
Yeah. Well, I think like if even in the logged in version, if you want to save the request, you're going to have to separately take that local storage and save it to a data collection anyway, because
Which is
local
how I have
storage
it
isn't
set up.
reliable.
I've actually got that part working.
Oh,
So,
okay. So then I think local storage is fine. You know, it's gonna
Yeah.
replace like Josh is saying, but if you're storing it in a data collection for permanence, I think you're good.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I don't even understand it
I-
fully. I just want to make sure we don't go crazy and change it all. We should try to stick to like how the action's built.
Totally.
I guess what I'm confused, and this could be a misunderstanding for me on the action type as well then. But I think it's by design, it's like creating I feel like the local storage is actually, it's storing the actual response. And I think it's adding like a second follow-up response to an existing one that's there. And so it's not just overwriting it, I don't think. I think every new call,
I see what you're saying.
it's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
combining, it's like an array of the whole history. It's
You
not
just have to clear it out basically when you're done. Just replace the local storage with nothing. That'll fix it. But yeah, you're right. I see what you're saying.
Hey, guys, would y'all check the chat real quick? Because Chief shared something that might be helpful. I'm not sure. But let's see if we can kind of hone in what the next action items for Alex might be.
I want to figure it out with Alex one-on-one. Because I'm annoyed that I can't figure it out right now.
Yeah, I don't want to
No, I'll do,
office hours, so.
let's DM me and I'll help direct you on it, because I honestly am trying to figure out how to better explain this for education purposes. And so working through someone else's example is going to be helpful. And it's just probably going to be a little like trial and error that I need to work through. Because we can get it. This is the same thing I've done already. And I think it's just something small.
I'm sure. And yeah, I know it's doable. I appreciate the help.
Okay. Drew, Dorian, any last bits of that, or are we just Josh?
No, I don't know much about the actions. I'd need to go implement it and learn about it. I haven't used
Is this
them.
an action Mark made?
Mhm.
Mark and Darrell made it. And it really is kind of optimized more for chat than it is for single text fulfillment, text fills. So we really should probably introduce another upgraded version of this for text completion again. Is what the answer is, I think.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. Well, Alex, sorry we couldn't get you further in the time that we did this morning, but hopefully we have a good plan for making sure it gets all the way there.
Yeah, and one thing is I do see there is an action for OpenAI text completion. Because I think that's more.
That's just the
of a-
old. It's like the Chat GPT 3. It's
Mhm.
good. Like it's definitely. I would use it for a lot of things potentially, but it's not the new GPT 4, which some people would want.
Or
Gotcha.
3.5, right?
Or 3.5. Yeah.
Yeah.
Got it.
And
Cool.
3.5 is the cheapest model of them all.
Okay, so let's transition unless we've got, is there anything else left to share on the?
Can you just share me on the project, Alex? Joshua Johnson T@gmail. I'll send you it.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay, so let's transition over to our next guest. Is it Micah? Is it Mika?
It's Mika.
Mika, okay. Hi,
Yeah.
Mika. Welcome to
Hi.
Office Hours. Please let us know what your question is. From the agenda, it looks like you were needing help updating some repeating lists with Xano. Feel free
Right.
to share your project and show us what your setup is, and we can help you.
Okay. Can you see my screen?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's happening is I have this repeating list, and upon clicking updates, the status has to be changed. And when you click save, it's supposed to automatically update the status. But that's not happening. But if I do refresh the page, it is actually gonna update it. And I want to avoid that. So what could I do? I've tried calling data binding, but that's not working either.
Are you on the setup? So you hit update, you hit save, and then you're sending an update call to Xano to do that update in their data collection. Are you
Right.
are you doing a get after that to get the data back?
No.
I believe that's what Drew, Dorian, tell me if I'm correct, but would that make sense, or would you usually?
You need to do
Yeah.
some form of that. You could also, since you know the value, you could potentially just update it without calling to Xano. You like just
Mhm.
manually update it, but you'll need to like trigger something. In builder data, we have something built in that you can call with data listeners where it'll like you don't have to trigger it, it'll listen for it. But you can't do
Right.
that with Xano. So with Xano, anytime you want to refresh, like what I would probably do is have a flow called, refresh data that just makes that Xano call. And then anytime something's updated, I just call refresh data and it would go update the Xano, something like that.
Can you show us the page binding flow too? Because that would influence.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that wouldn't work because that's not doing anything with Xano there. So
Right.
can you show us where you actually get the data from Xano?
Yeah, that's here. So this is the API call.
Yes, so you'd actually want to run just page load in this case, and I think it would work then.
Yep.
So on the success, on the save button, I'd call
Yeah.
page load
Yep.
again.
Do a nest and do page load. Because in your case, page load, all it's doing is calling the Xano and updating that.
But it would be a run flow, right? Because the update happens on the row.
Oh, you're right. So we can set that up if you want.
All right. On the row, on the success. And then I am calling page load, by the way.
Yeah, it is already happening.
So we run flow.
Is there a wait though?
Yeah, but it's not updated yet. It's like there's a wait there.
Show me what happens when you click the update button, because I'm assuming that does the API call to Xano for the update.
So this part, no,
The
nothing
save-
happened.
Yeah,
That's
Save.
just
or this
displaying-
form here. Yeah, show me in the studio the
Okay.
action that happens when you hit save. Because this
So-
one that opens the pop-up, right?
and then when you save,
Yeah.
it's basically
But it might be on the pop-up. Is the pop-up a separate page?
No, it's in here. It looks
it's
like
inside the row.
it's
yeah.
a light box. Okay, and then scroll down on here. Like I'm assuming you're running the run flow on success here. Yeah, yeah. So it should be working.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Could be an
What-
issue with the diff on
Well,
the
one thing
grid
is-
itself.
I don't know if it's diff, you might be right, but I was gonna say too, like you're on the products page now, right? Like, aren't you trying to run the page?
Yeah.
Oh, never mind. I'm wrong. I take it
Yeah.
back.
Yeah, products.
That's set up right.
Yeah, I think it might be diff. Let's do this. Click on the repeating list, like the grid flow on that products page, and go to the properties.
Mhm.
Oh, it's not in here.
You have to do
we'll have
diff
to go
from
to
JSON now.
Yeah, if you click JSON down at the bottom.
Do you know what your Xano data looks like? Do you know if it has IDs in each record?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, so it should
Might
work.
not be the diff then, but we can still try it. If you go back to that JSON, we're just looking
It,
for.
it is the diff, and what it is you actually need to remove it because it's not detecting that it's the same data, but the diff is running off of an ID and the ID is not changing. So what we want is we actually don't want a diff in this situation, so it just does a replace. So if you scroll, there should be an argument in here that has name diff. Let's see.
Is it
Yeah.
diff key?
Yeah, something like
Probably,
that.
yeah.
Diff, like DIF.
DIFF.
Yeah.
She needs
Oh,
the,
diff.
you need the quotes there.
Right
it
here,
is.
this one, yeah. So line 188 and 189. Let's remove those two lines.
These two, right?
Yeah, remove those, backspace, and then you can do clean it up. Yeah. And then just do a save JSON. And let's go test it now.
We need to change this action if this is what needs to happen. With the element, we need to work.
We need
on
to
it.
explain about the diff key stuff too, because it's like a useful tool that you need sometimes, don't need other times.
Yeah, it should be an advanced toggle.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So this is shampoo. I'm gonna put it out of stock. Where'd it go? Ah, it worked.
Did it change the
It
order?
works, but it
What happened?
reordered it, and it might be
Yeah,
because
pushed
if
it
you-
down.
What is your ordering rule?
I haven't set any.
I bet if you set it, it'll always be consistent. But
Yeah, go back. Is that in the properties? I think so, right? That's a data collection. So we'll need to do it in the JSON. Go back to the JSON down at the bottom and scroll down. I don't remember what it's called, but let me see if I think it's like order or something. Right here, sort method, probably. No, that's just the method. Was there one before this one, like the sort key or ID or something like that? Field to order, field for order.
Yeah.
In the value, line 113. Do you know what field you want this to be sorted by?
Okay, status or price.
It's up to you.
Okay, price.
Price will keep it consistent because if we did status as you change them, it will change the
Yeah.
order of them. So yeah, just type the name exactly how. And one thing we need to do is on the type, instead of static dot field, so line 116, just remove fields and then the dot, just leave it as static. And then go ahead and save it. And then let's try it now. Yeah.
Nice.
All right.
Nicely done.
We'll
Thank
get
you.
that cleaned up. That should be easier than that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we definitely need arguments for that under advance or something, but very useful.
I just gave it to Mark as a, we need to do this.
we need to build a toggle for advanced story, and that's the problem. There's no way to toggle it in the elements.
Yeah, easy.
Awesome, Mika. Thanks for bringing that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mika. Okay, so next up, let's move over to Spaceman. What is up? I guess we're not doing the PDF today. What are you working on?
Well, I was going to, and then somehow I got myself into fine-tuning a model. And that's gonna take
Your
the
next
precedent right now. Yeah.
NFL contracts. I thought you were working on something for car dealerships.
I've got so many projects, you know, you just I'm sure you guys all have the same problem, you know.
No, we're really focused. We never get sidetracked.
I mean, I see Drew
Total
doing,
problem.
you know, he's got blogs, AI's writing blog. Who knows what Dorian's doing in Cora? I mean, come on now, we're all the same. Okay, so here's basically, okay, so I fine-tuned an AI model today, somehow.
Congrats.
Thank you. And I have no idea if it works, but it said that it completed the run. So how do I take that and put it in Builder?
So you can only use the original AI actions because you can't fine tune on these new chat ones, you know,
Yeah.
but you use the original action. And it lets you select a model in one of the drop downs. If you use the same API key that you fine tune the model on, then you can go. So it's under more settings. So keep that. That's good. You need that same API key, but down on the actual action at the bottom, there's a toggle for more settings. And see that model? You do enter value manually, and you have to type your model name. And as long as you built it with that API key, it's just going to work. So I don't know your model name. You might have to sign into OpenAI to find what it is.
Well, I think it actually told me on the I don't know if you can actually see my screen right now.
Yeah,
I'm
I
actually
can't. I
going
can only
to-
see your builder screen, but
Okay, so this, whoops. I think it's that right there.
Yeah, and so as long as that's correct, and I have no idea if it is or not, but as long as that's correct, then it'll just work with your model.
Okay,
It's
well,
that simple.
it's that simple.
Are you sure there's not some complicated workaround?
The one thing I would say though is like I've fine-tuned and used a model. It was like a few weeks ago or maybe like a couple months ago. I don't know when it was. But I don't remember it looking like that. Like I feel like it was human readable words. Like I feel like it was the name of my model. But
Oh, really?
about that.
Okay, hold on. Maybe hold on. Let me see if I can stop something real quick. Let me just see if we can't just dive into that real quick. So, okay. I mean, I ran into so many errors. I'm thankful for YouTube and ChatGPT because it told me how to do everything basically. Okay, so this was my ID. So would that not be the model?
There's like a model name, I think, but we would see it in here somewhere, I assume. It says created fine-tune with the IDs. Maybe it is like that. Actually, while we're talking or looking at that, let me just pull my project up. I can probably find out real quick. Or I don't know if it's easy to test on your end, but you could also just try it, see if it works.
I probably need to attach the data.
Hmm.
Oh, I guess I need to set that up. No, do I? It's been a while since I've used the original one. I probably have to go
I'm
back.
trying to remember the project these. Oh, there it is. I'm gonna know in 1 second.
Oh.
I'm just opening up this project.
Okay, I'm gonna stop sharing that screen and then go back to my project.
So Drew, if he hadn't already had it on that API, basically you have to set that up and then set up a secret in Builder. And then you would do the model thing.
Yeah, well, the secret is like your open AI API key. So that's
Yeah.
how you call any of their APIs. But the way their API is set up is that when you fine tune a model, you're using your API key and it's just automatically available anywhere else you use that same API key.
Wow, that's cool.
Okay, well, I don't want to take too much time. I'm gonna have to think about this because it's over my head. I don't even know how I got this far.
Well, you're correct completely. The only thing is if it doesn't work, it's because that name is wrong. Everything else is correct for sure. So it should be pretty straightforward for you.
Does it
I
have
can't
to have
actually
like
find
an
this project
ID
right
in
now.
it? Does it have to have like an ID in it or anything like that?
An ID? No, I don't know. It's the name of the model. So you know how like you had in there, it was like text DaVinci 03. Like that's like the name of the DaVinci model. When you make a custom model, it's your own name. It's whatever you name it. And it is a name. It doesn't have to be an ID because it's unique to your API key. So, you know, you can just name it whatever you want, basically.
So basically you need to go find where you might have named it something and grab that value and put it
You
in.
know, the thing is, you don't name it yourself. It names it for you, I think. But I think you can probably get it. If you
Can
go
you
to
search?
platform.openai.com, you can probably find it.
Ooh.
I'm looking right now. It's just taking me forever because I have to like log into everything and all that. There we go.
If anybody's waiting, I'm sorry.
We've got one last question from Casey.
And I'll be fine tuning models next, so it's good to hear this. So.
Perfect.
It's like it lets me find my usage by day. I have to like literally select a day, so I'll never actually find where it is in the API. That's kind of a weird thing that they don't just make it available. There's an API call you can run to OpenAI to list your fine-tuned models. So like worst case scenario, you can get it that way. But I actually think if you look through the terminal stuff we were just looking at, where you found the ID, if you look through there, it's going to be in there somewhere. But really what you should do is finish it out so you can test it and just test it. And even if you don't have the data, if that model name is not correct, you'll get an error. Like the API will say model not found. And if it's the correct name, it'll just let it run. So you could figure it out. But I don't know. you know. It
I'll
might be
do
right.
some
Just answer
testing.
opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I was really interested in that PDF thing today, but as soon as I got this to run, I was like, oh, well, let's see if we can do this real quick. So I'll do some testing and I'm sure I'll mess some stuff up and I'll be on Discord and I appreciate your time.
Nice.
Thanks, Spaceman. Okay, so next up, Casey. So Casey chatted a question into the chat about deployments and versioning. You're wanting to set up a development, staging, and production data sets for users and other data collections. So I think probably the thing we need to do is just recommend to Casey how he can separate out his data from production to tests. I'm guessing you want to have like dev, test, and production, Casey.
Yeah, basically, yeah. And so I'm working off of, yeah, I mean, I guess I'll just leave it as an open question, but I'll probably have a set of projects and this is going to be kind of a recurring flow. So I want to be able to kind of at least have the different data sets and then be able to, and again, I see the versioning in the, what's it called, the deployments, but I don't know if I'm using it right or if it's working right, or, I'm not sure if I'm looking at it the right way.
Yeah, totally.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I was gonna go into the answer. Are we ready?
Well, yes, and I was going to say maybe you could give an overview of, deployments and kind of what they are. Casey, could you give us a little bit of background on the use case of what you're building, or just in general, you just want some general information?
Sure. So, I mean, for this example, I'm working off the Chat GPT example. I have it up and running. It works well, and I basically am, honestly playing with, different initial behaviors and different. I want to share that, it's sort of a studio environment, so I want to share basically internal things I'm working on when I'm playing with, prompt engineering, basically, and then I want to sort of have a control where I sort of switch databases to share it with someone else to sort of show what's working. But I think of it as kind of a traditional dev environment. So, where I want a dev area where I can break, and then sort of a production where I can be live, and then, staging is obviously kind of a testing area. And if it helps, I don't know, but I have like a studio pass, and I don't have like pro level for anything. So I don't know if that's like a limitation or what's going on.
Cool.
I mean, the studio pass unlocks the pro features for sure.
Yeah, none of that's a limitation with data. I think the first step is just to explain how the actual deployments works, especially with data, because the deployments themselves and the revisions and all that, they don't apply to data at all. So that's the first point of confusion. The data is shared across all your revisions by default in Builder. So you can have like separate versions on separate domain names of your actual app. It's all sharing that same data and that same data structure. Junix, who's not in here right now, but is often in Builder hours, he has like a system, I think, that's pretty rock solid. Like if I were doing this, if I were going to separate my data into the different deployments, I would use his system, but I don't know the specifics of it. But he has a method he uses where he can separate the data for each like environment.
So they're kind of like structuring the data. And this is like a toggle I'll have somewhere where I'm in the app, I'll be in dev mode or production mode, and then you sort of are accessing different data sets based on the toggle filter or something like that.
Yeah, that's how Junix does it. What he does is in all his data collections, he actually creates a field called environment, and he has logic where he sets like a root variable when you load the preview, which the preview is always pointing to the development deployment. And then his test environment or productions are on different domains, and he just does a check and he says, what domain am I in? He just sets a variable on the root for the environment, whatever he names it. And every time he creates data, he just captures that into that field. And then he's just filtering by that same field when he gets the data. And that's how Junix does it.
Nice.
Okay. That's
But yeah,
I can
that's
take
the
a look
best
at
way
that.
to handle it. And in the future, we'll probably have versioning in there or all that stuff in our data, but right now it just doesn't have it. There's just no built-in way to do it.
And so what is the scope of the versioning then? Is that for the front end? Is that what that's intended to be for then? Is that
It's basically everything else, you know, because all of the like images and all of the like structure of your project with the elements and all your actions and flows, all the setup that goes into your project is all in that revision. I think it's just data. I mean, Dorian knows way better than me. I should let him answer.
Well, I think it's also the structure. So for example, if you have a data collection and you've got data binding and you've published that into production, if you add another field to that data collection, that's not just automatically gonna be in production. You actually have to publish that. So I think it's
Is that true? I didn't even realize that. I
Yeah.
thought if you added a field, it would be in across all environments.
no, yeah. So the structure itself goes as part of your publishing process, right? You control you do your own revision control via you create whatever environments you want and you select where you're publishing from and what you're publishing to. You should for sure always go from development to test or to production or from then test to production. It kind of depends on how structured you want to be with it. It's really your call. I recommend always having like test, which you can share with other people, how you were mentioning. And then if you have your data separated in that way, then it'll kind of carry through. And if you make your requests to only show those things and they're filtered, I think that'll be okay for what you need. And you can probably just do test and then production. You know, all the data as they create it, you'll see in your data collection area, but you'll see it with a flag of, you know, development, test, or production, I think, depending on where it's created from and how you've set it up. But I think that's pretty much it, right, guys?
Yeah, and I would add maybe if it's relevant to anyone, it's like I came in the builder like really wanting them separate and I actually never even separate them anymore. I don't even usually create.
I think most people don't anymore.
I don't know. It's like sort of because it wasn't there. Like that's why I started doing it, but I really don't miss it. But just to like as a side note, if you're thinking in your head that like it adds a layer of complication, like a lot of times you don't need it. But also if you want it, like that's a perfect solution, I think. I mean, it's kind of if we made a solution, it would essentially be us wrapping that up into, you know, internal stuff.
Yeah. Casey, does that help at all? Are you more confused? Where are you at?
No, that's helpful. I mean, I think I have to take another look at it because I think separately, I don't, when I use deployments, I mean, when I use versioning, I can't change the version. Like it's not, so I'm not sure what triggers.
Well,
In the deployment, when you change the revision ID or the I think it's called revision.
Yeah, it just sort of effectively just kind of renames it. I can't actually like use the drop down revision and go from revision to revision independent of actual functionality. Like
so you have to publish. You should be able to, Casey. So every time you publish, whether it's to test or production, it creates a revision.
So maybe that's the triggers. I'm thinking about it the opposite. I'm thinking about it, and that's fine. I just need to get my head around it. I was thinking about it as like setting a revision and then publishing that revision. And you're saying it's
opposite. Yeah.
Yes.
That's fine. That makes sense.
More like to roll back, or it's more like if you publish in a test, you can just like change the revision in production to swap it. So, you know, hot swap it basically. Okay. Stuff like that.
That will probably, I'll test that. That'll probably help. So yeah, thanks.
Yeah, and we are going to be revising that area to add like notes and just to allow it to be easier to roll things in and out, and just know what you're doing. Like, what is it that I've actually published? What are the differences between, you know, this revision and this revision? So yeah, so I think what you'll do to start is when you get it to a good spot and you want to capture the state of where it's at, publish to either test or to production. Okay. And that'll create a revision. And then if you're making changes in your dev environment and you find, hey, I really messed something up, I want to go back to what I had before, you can go into your deployment development deployment, open it up, and then you can do the change revision option. And you should see its date and time stamped at whatever time it was that you published. So if you then select that, it'll basically change everything in your development environment, sans the data. So if you created data, I think that'll stay, but everything else will revert back to whatever state that your project was when you published it, if you're needing to go back in that way. You can create as many publishes to a single deployment as you want. It still creates a record for that that's time stamped. The thing that you have to keep track of is I released 2 tests at this time, or I released a production at this time, so that you kind of know what's in each of those. And hopefully we'll revise that to make it a lot more intuitive and easier to kind of go in and out as far as rolling things forward and backwards.
No, that's super helpful. I mean, one other quick thing, I don't want to dominate, but I have one other quick one related to that is there, how are you thinking about, I don't know how to ask this question, like archival or backup or import, export, like basically once you get a data set of a certain size, it makes me uncomfortable just to trust it in one place, and, how are you thinking about that? Or, how should I?
I think
Yeah.
long term, we're gonna like accommodate that, like have backups and fixes and whatever. Short term, what you can do is basically anything you need, you can almost always set up yourself in Builder. So you might make like a little admin page for yourself where you click a button and it exports all your data as a CSV, or sends it to a different API to back it up. That's how I would handle it now. I think that the data is not as advanced as everything else in the studio probably, but it'll accommodate that for sure at some point. Yeah.
Yeah, and one
No,
thing
that's a
on
good idea.
data is it does automatically back it up already. So we do have the history as changes are being made or added. We just don't have a UI right now to allow you to restore it. So that's what will come later.
Okay, no, that's no problem. I'm not complaining. I'm just trying to get my head around what's there.
Yeah, totally. And this is good too, because it helps inform us what are the things that we need to explain better up front. And we know that publishing and revision control is definitely one of those things. And if
No,
you
this
ever
is
have
super
any
helpful.
trouble with it, Casey, let us know, or with the data thing, like we can check these things.
Okay,
Yeah.
great.
Well, we do have 5 minutes left. Do you want, since it's your first time on the call, was there anything else or any other feedback you wanted to share?
Not really. I mean, I'm really enjoying the tool. I'm always curious about the teams building this. Like, how long have you guys been doing this?
Ooh. Well, Dorian and I, and now Drew, have been working together for a really long time. So we started from an agency that was building kind of earlier versions of Builder. We created, we have a really successful agency, and we basically created early versions of Builder, and we're using it and found success with it. So at some point a few years ago, we were like, we should really share this with the world. So Dorian and I were doing that for probably like 10 years, him longer than me.
I think it was more like 15 years, right? For
Yeah.
the agency side, the Builder, the idea or the kernel. Forever. It's been a long time.
And then we got Drew to come onto the team. At some point we decided, let's share this with the world, and we started spinning it out and basically rebuilding it using everything we had learned, like all the mistakes and all the wonderful things from actually building with it and running an agency with it. And so that's where we've been redoing. And now it's kind of evolved to really take an input from you guys and what is being created in the future, which makes it especially cool. So it's definitely moving a lot further than I think we originally anticipated. So yeah, we've been together for a while, and then Drew and Josh are our newest team members. And yeah, it's been awesome. Yeah, we've been together for a good while. We can read each other's minds. Almost. Almost, yeah. There's a great blog I think that we have that shares a little bit of the background. If you're interested, I can always chat it to you, Casey. But
Yeah, sure. I'm always interested. Yeah.
yeah, I think we just came from being creators ourselves. And so that everything that you see in Builder, we always use ourselves to build it. So we're running into the same things, and also, you know, running into the same things as y'all on purpose so that we can kind of try things and figure them out before it gets to y'all.
No, it's super cool. I come from a more of a development background. You know, I built systems in C and Python and all kinds of random things. It's really nice. I like the structure. The structure kind of fits how my brain works, I guess. So I think you guys did a good job.
Yeah, it does. Drew came, I think, from development as well. And so always allowing that flexibility and that power of needing to code or do the things that you need to extend is probably what you'll see. I'm sure a lot of beginners watching this would be like, what, this is not no code. Look at all this crazy stuff they're doing. But what's amazing is that most people will start off that way if they don't have the development background, and they will learn to get to that point simply by nature of their own skill sets expanding, which is cool to see. But I'm glad to hear that you've been kind of exploring it and liking it.
Yeah, it's great. Super cool.
Yeah. And so you're building stuff with AI, Casey? Is that what direction you're heading in?
Yeah. So I started and built a company as well, and sold it about a year ago. And the focus there was an AI for pathology. So we had an automated pathology tool from these massive pathology images. And so we built this with crazy, the crazy compute, you have no idea. I'm building new tools. And so I'm kind of like looking for a good, like, foundational kind of, I look at it as kind of almost like a venture studio, like a foundational, software piece to spin up ideas and see, get them in the world quickly. Right. And I think I think you guys have a really good balance of functionality. It works well and it's easy to approach, but Axel, most of them you run into walls, and it doesn't seem too bad here. Like you're pretty flexible when you want to do that extra piece. So it's good.
Yeah. Sometimes it takes a little bit of oil and grease, but you can get there.
Yeah. No, it's good. It's good.
We're working on the oil and grease.
Yes.
And the paint.
That is it's honestly the challenge. Is the power is there. You gotta make it easier, and that's what we're doing.
Yes.
And let's not forget the paint.
Yeah.
Making it look pretty.
Oh yeah, that's all
I'm
Drew.
providing the
That's all
paint.
Drew. We've got a great painter. Well, guys, it is now officially 3:00. So we're going to go ahead and switch over to pro office hours, which is going to be for pro projects. It basically, if they are on a subscription, you get some additional focus time for those. So Josh is going to lead that one. We'll go ahead and end this call. If you guys have any questions, chat in the Discord. Otherwise, we do this every week. And Casey, I'm so glad you were able to join this time. It was lovely to meet you. And if you need anything else, chat us. Everyone, have a great weekend. See you in pro office hours. Bye.
Thanks, later.
Thank you.